Hello, you Ubers fans. My name is Vision, coach of the Hangzhou Shots, and I am here to give you your Week 3 Ubers draft recap. You guys might be wondering, hey, is this guy even qualified to be commentating about Draftly considering it's his first one? The simple answer is no. But with Butter stepping away for a few weeks, I have been tasked with catching key moments from last week's action-packed games. Let's get right into it. Coming into Week 3, SBAP currently holds the first place spot with a commanding 2-0 lead with only a plus 11 differential, only letting a single Pokemon die in his last 2 games. Trailing right behind him is a Fishy with a strong plus 7 differential. Terminal and Excalibur both share that 3rd and 4th place slot, still undefeated, each with a plus 3 differential. And now in the middle of the pack, we have a crazy 4-way tie between Fishy, King, Nebula, and Mosinite, with each player at a plus 3 differential. This week's games are bound to shake up the scoring between these players. Big Vic currently holds the 9th place spot with only a plus 2 differential, which, can easily be overcame. Whereas Volt Ninja, Kizako, and Septile start their season off with a slight predicament, being -6, -7, and -10 respectively. Now, all 4 of these players at the very bottom of the screen can easily make it out from the bottom and make it into playoffs as long as they play their matches. Yeah, about that. Septile and Kazako were supposed to play, but Septile never even showed up for his first game on time for any of the dedicated times they both agreed upon. So Kazako got the free win. Congratulations to Kazako for a plus 4. Hopefully this doesn't happen in any other pools, right? It was a one-time thing. Right? For the first actual game of Pool A, we have the current pool leader SBAP versus Nebula. Nebula came out the gate swinging with their team's padded in range strategy, using Politoed to try and power up their Paralegal Floatzel and Urshifu Rapid Strikes. Now, anytime you have to play versus rain or any kind of weather-focused strategy in a draft format, the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, are you okay with weathers being up? And for SBAP, I think the answer is pretty obvious, yes. By using a dual screens Rotom Heat, SBAP was able to get into a position where both Mewtwo and a mixed attacking substitute Palkia Origin could rip holes into Nebula's team. And by the way, can we just talk for a second about how a Choice Banded Terra Water in Rain Floatzel did 24% to Palkia Origin behind a Reflect? That's quad resistant. Actually insane numbers. In this matchup though, I think Nebula should have brought Archaludon into it, just because of how much pressure, throwing out earthquakes and electro shots just constantly while you're under the effect of rain. If SBAP made one poor decision, one bad misplay, Archaludon would have opened the game up and the game would have been much, much closer. Good game to both players as SBAP continues to hold his position at number 1 in the pool. The match between Terminal and King started off honestly pretty normal. A few unfortunate misses on Terminal's side, a little back and forth switching to get that proper positioning, forcing an early Terra, and then suddenly Bronzong clicks Hypnosis and immediately set up dual screens. When I saw this replay for the first time, I felt something devious coming behind those screens. Acupressure, Terra Dark, Overgrowth. I kid you not. I had to look up what Acupressure did and who got it, because in 3 turns, this Overgrowth had plus 2 attack, plus 2 accuracy, and plus 2 speed. And then right after that, he even got an legal evasion. He had evasion on top of his other stats. Like, how? Unfortunately, it all fell apart. The Overcoil didn't have a way to hit the Hisuian Samurai, and the Overcoil went down immediately. And without any other ways to stop Lugia just ran away with the game. King tried to use a bulk up, scale shot Palkia, and Swords Dance substitute Landorus Therian, but with no avail under Lugia's mighty bulk. My only gripe with this game as a whole is King's usage of Alomomola which is just pure setup fodder. Gets baited in with substitutes and has no real way to hit Hisuian Samurott. I think a different Pokemon in play would have been more beneficial to King. But nonetheless, good games at Terminal, as he keeps his undefeated record as well. Now, if there was an award for the most upsetting game of the week, it would go to Volt Ninja versus Excalibur. And not because of the gameplay itself. The gameplay between these two excellent players were not the problem. It was just the unfortunate baton pass with the defense boosts on Darkspawn. For those who don't know, our draft league allows the usage of baton pass, a very valuable move able to pivot Pokemon in and out of battlefields. However, when you use baton pass, you are able to pass along any kind of boosts or substitutes, which is why Shedtail is such a strong presence in the format. Even though the defense boost to Darkrai had no effect on the actual match itself, as Darkrai would just switch out, it is still considered an illegal play, and the win is automatically given to Volt Ninja. Spoiler warning, Excalibur wins this game by +3, using a sub-hypnosis Dream Eater Darkrai that Volt Ninja just could not outspeed after Excalibur set up a sticky web. It's an unfortunate loss for Excalibur, but if they keep using strong strategies and different techniques to try and whittle down their opponents, just like the Darkrai he brought up this week, we can easily see them in playoffs for Season 3. Flying versus Fishy starts off with one of the coolest preps I've seen this week. An intentionally slower Cinderace to slow taunt the Ninetale Alola as it sets up the Aurora Veil, just so that it court changes the Aurora Veil onto Fishy's side. These are the strategies that kind of make draft. The specific counterplay, because normally Cinderaces, they like to be fast, hyper aggressive, in your face. But Fishy came out here with the elite strategies, wanting to use the opponent's Aurora Veil against them. And honestly, this proved to be pretty useful. However, Flying had their own trick up their sleeve. A Terra-fighting Drifblim, unburdened with a Calm Moon boost. The game was looking like a guaranteed win for Flying, until he swapped out on Cinderace incoming. He thought Cinderace had Sucker Punch, even though all 4 moves were revealed, and he swapped out a big throw, to be quite honest with you. And after that, the game just came down to their final Pokemon trading kills one after another. But in the end, it came down to Ninetales Alola versus Suicune. Now normally, this would be a win for Ninetales Alola, right? Every Ninetales Alola should just be carrying Blizzard, Aurora Veil, Moonblast, Freeze Ray. However, the Ninetales did not have Freeze Dry. I think every Ninetales should be having Freeze Dry. It's just one of the most broken moves in the game. Honestly, those two, the one builder throw and the one in-game throw, those are the kind of delays you don't want to see. However, nothing Flying can't get over. Congrats to Fishy for this huge upset. Even though the game looked bleak, he still won in the end. Last match of Pool A will be Moissanite versus Vigilante Vigoroth, or better known as Vig. Vig's 4 Uber Pokemon squad of Giratina, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Dialga Origin, and Terrapagus forced out Moissanite's deepest bag of tricks, as they showed up with a Magic Room Smeargle and Trick Mimikyu. I learned later that the Mimikyu was holding an Assault Vest to prevent Giratina from doing a defog shenanigans. However, Vig made the right play, swapped in Dialga Origin in the face of Mimikyu, and because Dialga Origin's item cannot be tricked, the setup just crumbled from there. But Moissanite still has more magic in their, bag of tricks, as they would later reveal manual electric terrain Iron Treads. However, this also did not work as well. Giratina just ended up Dragon Tailing to no end, and Moissanite just had no more answers to a late game Greninja sweep. Well played by Vig for, not getting caught up in Muzzle Knight's Carnival of Illusions and not getting confused by their crazy bag of tricks, as that concludes the finals of Pool A. Pool B's players are filled with strong battles such as Ruben Pays, Toast, and Raposti, who hold the top 3 spots with undefeated records. Namebet holds the 4th place spot, with 1 win, 1 loss, with a +4 differential, whereas Portobello is close behind with a +2 differential. Vortex keeping their 6th place with an even 1-1 record. Now, Wi-Fi, Ocean, and AC Scream are all tied with a 1-1 score, all of which are at a -1 differential. Dino and Kind Squared are at the bottom of the scoreboard with a -6, and Uramus in dead last with -9. But in truth, Uramus can easily climb out of that route with their brand new team, no longer having to use Nitro's old stinky team with Cyclist Arumi he subs for. Now, for the first game of Pool B, we got Ocean and Kind Squared. Huh? What do you mean? What? What do you mean Kind Squared, the creator of the UUbers tier, didn't play this week? Seriously? Oh, okay. Congrats to Ocean for his win this week over Kind Squared. Vortex vs. Wi-Fi, honestly, did not surprise me in the slightest. I'm gonna be super transparent here. I would have been more surprised if Lycanroc did not do anything this game. The quadruple genie setup Vortex has, it's fun, it's cool, it's interesting, it's thematic, but you're bound to have problems when you're trying to run some kind of gimmick like this. When your opponent has one of the best Terra captains, which is also a rock type, faster than most of your team, and your team has 5 rock weak Pokemon, honestly, it kind of went as expected. I mean, well played the Wi-Fi nonetheless. He played to his win condition, and I want to see trades from Vortex. I'm tired of seeing the Genie Core, but I know it's funny, so, In the match between Portobello and Icy Scream, Portobello, he has a very strong Rain Core, but he decides to opt out of it, which is honestly understandable because Icy has the Palafin and the Palkia, who are 2 amazing threats inside of the Rain. Rainless Rain teams seem kind of awkward to pilot though, because you pick up these Pokemon like Kilowattrel, Kingdra, Overqwil, who are supposed to be really strong in Rain, but Portobello thankfully has some good flex Pokemon like Mew, basically patch in those holes. Actually, this week, the combination of Spikes, Taunt, and Knockoff put Portobello into a strong position to sweep Swords Dance Overqwil with Terra Water, but was ultimately crit by Palafin. This would spiral into Choice Band Palafin, eventually knocking out every Pokemon on Portobello's side. In truth, if Portobello wanted to play super safe, he could have swapped out the Overqwil into Kingdra to tank the 4 times resistant move and start another sweep from there, especially because he still had his Terra, and he could have teared into the Terra Dragon he had in his back pocket. But obviously that's hindsight, in hindsight, review, you know what I mean. Hindsight 2020, the crit is still mad unfortunate nonetheless. Both players played very well to the end, crit or not though, a very, very respectable game. This is Uramus's debut match with their brand new team up against Raposti, one of the craziest builders in the pool. Trick, Iron Ball, Dialga, Wise Glasses, Hisui, Braviary. This is why Raposti is one of the people to look out for this season. However, Uramus also pulled out some cool tech with Fluffy, Roar, Will-O-Wisp, Houndoom, their signature Pokemon. A super cool niche tech to be able to combat summons that the hero Raposti threatened with, but the dog still managed to wreak havoc among Uramus' team. The end game with 2 Fire Blast misses on Magearna did end up to be a little bit shystier, but Terra Fairy Bravery put a seal on the game. One major part of the draft I did not explain before is the Terra Preview option. Terra Captains are only limited to 3 types, and their type is revealed before the game. If Uramus saw the Terra Fairy on the Braviary and clicked an Ice move with Weavile and swapped the Houndoom on the incoming Zamazenta, the game would have been in Uramus' favor potentially. Nonetheless though, the game was still really well played out by both players, and I want to see more from both of them. I love both these players. I think they can do amazing this season. If I had to give player titles, Ruben Paces would be the Stall Menace of Pool B. How does Naybet attempt to stop Dugtrio Stall in 2024? Well, the first answer was a Colberberry Calm Mind across Dawn Wings, but that didn't work out too well as they got knocked off by Ogerpon and straight immediately into Zamazenta Crunch. After that, it was all up to Ogerpon Teal with sub Leech Seed Stall, but the combination of Alomomola and Sloping Galar's Regeneration Core just proved too much for Naybet's fruitless attempts. Honestly, I would have liked to see an Hazard on the Fortress with knockoff on Tornadus Therian. The constant pivoting of Foray into Torrent was just not enough to break down Ruben's core, especially as he kept switching in and out with Wish, Alomomola, Galarian Slowking, back into Zamazenta. A little bit more firepower honestly would have broken down this core, but will anybody be able to stop the Stall Demon Ruben Paces' Reign of Terror? Now the final game of Pool B comes down to Toast versus Diana. When Diana had a Sticky Web up with Double Dancing Terra Water Rhyperior, honestly the game looked lost, straight from turn 4. But when Toast typed in chat, called it, and hit Trick Room with Slowking, honestly it felt like an anime scene with the glasses push, the smirk, like the hey. Nobody was ready for Toast to show up with Trick Room Slowking and Mimikyu with Dragalge is constantly dealing damage with powerful adaptability sludge waves. Can't even blame Diana for not being ready for Trick Room, because who was? I know for sure I was not. The Terra Water Heavy Duty Boots Raikou was just a final nail in the coffin, as Toast keeps their undefeated streak alive and healthy. The final pool. Pool C. Only 2 players remain undefeated. Maple in second place with a +6, and myself at a +10 in first place. I know, I'm nice. Hey, I'm nice. Aside from the 2 standouts, the race for top 3 is ultra competitive with 8 different competitors at a 1-1 score, and the only 2 competitors without a win so far are CW and Zero, who both can easily compete against anyone in this pool. And for game no, are you fucking serious, dude? Maple and Bandit didn't play, and their game was literally decided on a fucking coin toss. And Bandit won off of a coin toss. Congrats to them, I guess. I mean, surely the next week we won't have these same kind of problems with no matches, right, guys? Right? Honestly, it feels pretty strange to try and commentate my own game. I mean, the game start was pretty awkward in the beginning with Florges versus Corviknight, constantly trying to Brave Bird into Florges. And personally, I wasn't really worried about the Terra Steel going up on the Florges, because I was just trying to stall out all this Synthesis PP and force out the Steel Terra with Corviknight for an easy revenge kill with Roaring Moon with Earthquake. But I think CW was scared that my Corviknight had Body Press on it, because I never revealed its last move. By the way, the last move was Reflect. After his big special defensive wall went down, Mewtwo was able to clean up considering he did not have Dragapult on his team. A poor builder decision, because Dragapult is one of the few Pokemon in the format that is faster than Mewtwo and can knock him out in one hit. The in-game did get a little shiesty though, with Trick Room, Weakness Pulsey Solgaleo, but the damage was already done. And shoutouts to Persian Alola, underrated Pokemon in my draft. That was my Dragapult answer. Good luck to CW in the rest of their games, and I only wish them the best of luck in the rest of the season. While writing the script for Zero vs Graded Stick, 2 things immediately struck out to me. 1, Zero's Team Smash just looked like a standard Gen 7 OU team, and Graded Stick severely lacks a ground type. Graded just got peppered with uncontested Volt Switches, Flip Turns, U-Turns, until Zero got into prime opportunities to hit the Pokemon in front of them. I mean, honestly, Graded Stick should have probably brought Latios. Latios would have done massive damage, being able to just nuke the field with Luster Purges, Draco Meteors, filler move, and Flip Turn. Because nothing on Zero's team is actually faster than 108 speed, and Latios is 110 speed. So you can just put a Specs on the Latios and just constantly just rain down damage, or get out of there with fast Flip Turns. Graded's team was built to be very passive, but that's what Balance wants. And unfortunately, he got stalled out with Zero's balance was just far too strong for Graded's passivity. All I have to say about Avalixim versus Alice is how much RNG affects a game of Pokemon. I mean, 30% sometimes just feels like 90% with Flame Body burned or Scald, 1 in 24 in modern generations for a critical hit, 10% chance of being frozen by Freeze Dry onto Porygon 2, which was Avalixim's only Kyurem White soft answer. I mean, the game would have been different if the stars aligned a little differently, but that is simply the game we just play. I mean, luck aside, Curse Overkill was an interesting choice to set up for Avalixim, but it made it slower than Bombardier and Alcremie, which is not what you wanted to do ideally. And I'm surprised it wasn't a more bulky, like Rocky Helmet Overquill for Zamazenta. I'm surprised Annihilape also just didn't come to the game at all, but Kilowattrel did. I mean, Annihilape can hit Moltres with a rock move without being burned, and they can take hits from Zamazenta Hero and force it out with a Drain Punch. I mean, either way, it was still a great game, luck aside. And I expect a really great season for both these players, two phenomenal players. I know Butter loves to do Match of the Week, and me personally, I think this was my choice for Game of the Week. Pajumas versus Mob. Now at first the game did not favor Mob, fortunately, as they would miss Thunder Wave 3 times, get crit by Paleth's close combat, and then get crit again on an Ivy Cudgel. However, Bronzong would prove to be the absolute GOAT with a Resto Chesto set with Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Stored Power. Despite all the odds being against Mob, all the luck never being on his side, Bronzong clutched up and cleaned the game versus Pajumas. Pretty convincingly too, in that nice little endgame with Glastrier being complete setup fodder for it. Well played to both players. We need some more Bronzong action. Love good Bronzong play as Mr. VGC. Love him. Now, I'm not sure if Steel knew how Ditto interacts with unburdened Pokemon in their game versus Shadow. Ditto does not copy the unburdened boost, and he learned that hard way, as Hitmonlee decided to knock out Ditto one fell swoop on incoming. However, this did not deter Steel away from swinging the game back and nearly winning the game, except for a stupid obstacle in his way. And this is where I present the Pokemon of the week, Galarian Slowbro. Now, if Avalixim in the last game got really unlucky, Shadow has to be goaded with how much plot armor they have. By taking the Amplified and the Reversal,
and to create imaginary mass, imaginary technique, hollow, purple.
Thank you again, once more, you Ubers, for allowing me to host this week's recaps. If you disagree with anything I said or want to give criticisms, just drop them below in the comments and I'll look to improve them for next week. And I'll see you all next time. Man.